Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. We are live again, and today I have a very special guest, and he is a native speaker, and he is from Canada, and his name is Jeff Johnson. Hello, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks
Yes,
for inviting me.
and we are very happy to seeing you here. So, what do you do in Canada, basically?
Well, I'm an IELTS English teacher. I teach English, second language, and I also teach preparation for the IELTS exam. And I teach only online now. I used to teach in a school in Montreal, but I've since moved to Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada. And now I'm living here and teaching from my home in Ottawa.
Okay. So, do you love teaching?
I love teaching. I've been teaching for about 20 years, and I consider it a real joy to meet new students and to help them on their journey towards wherever English is going to take them.
So, have you ever been to Bangladesh, my country?
No, I haven't. I do have friends from Bangladesh. I have some friends who live here in Ottawa that came from Bangladesh to go to university. So I do have friends here, yeah, from Bangladesh. But I'd like to go
Do,
someday. Yeah,
do you have many students from Bangladesh?
I have at the moment. I have a few students from Bangladesh over the course of the past. Maybe the past year and a half, I've had about 30 students from Bangladesh, all preparing to come to Canada to study, and so helping them with their IELTS exam.
So your students are from many different countries.
Yeah, I've had students from over 100 different countries.
Mentionable, like some countries.
Some countries, well, as well as Bangladesh, India, Nepal, Egypt, Iran, um, different countries in Africa, South America, Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, and other Asian countries, Japan, Korea, China, Philippines, Vietnam, a lot of different countries.
Okay. What is IELTS actually?
Well, IELTS stands for International English Language Testing System, but it's the important thing to realize about IELTS is it is a test of your English language ability, and it's a test that is wants to test your ability usually for immigration or academic or professional purposes. So it has four parts. It tests four different English language skills: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And it takes about, on test day, you'll find it takes about 2.5 hours to complete the test. And usually, depending on your situation, it could take a number of months or a number of weeks or even a number of years to be fully ready for the IELTS exam.
Okay, so which module is the most easiest one, you think?
The easiest one? Well,
Yes.
well, for me, they're all easy, but for a second language non-native speaker, I would say that, well, there's two different types of skills. Reading and speaking are skills where you have to be productive. You have to produce English. And the other ones, reading and listening, is where you really have to recognize English. So I would say that probably the writing and speaking sections are the most challenging because you have to be able to produce from the language you know rather than just recognize somebody else's speaking or writing. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any suggestion for Bangladeshi student how to prepare IELTS test?
How to prepare? Well, again, the most important thing is to recognize that it is an English test. Sometimes you'll see people saying, well, if you know a certain trick or you know a certain shortcut or there's no shortcuts for learning English. You just have to have a good, solid base of English, usually according to international standards, usually about at least a B2 or a C1 level of English. And once you have that strong foundation of English, then you need to learn some of the test taking skills that will help you with the exam. But first and foremost, it's an English test. And I think that's the main thing to remember when you're preparing.
What is the minimum score students should achieve for higher study?
Well, for universities in Canada, if you're going into a bachelor's program, the minimum requirement is usually an overall 6.5 and a minimum of 6 in each of the different sections. So I recommend that you always target a little higher than what you need. But the most important thing is to check with the university if you plan to attend a university and find out exactly the score you need. If you're going into a graduate program, you'll probably need a 7 or a 7.5 for entry into a graduate program. That's the case for most universities in Canada.
Okay, and what is about IELTS speaking test?
The IELTS speaking test. Well,
What is what kind of test it is? IELTS speaking test.
The IELTS speaking test is a test that's going to test a few areas of your English language ability. First of all, it's going to test your fluency. And one of the most important things to remember about fluency is that fluency doesn't mean speaking perfectly. It means being able to adjust your speaking and to correct mistakes as you go. Because even as a native English speaker, when I'm speaking, I may make a mistake, or I may even say something and realize as soon as I said it, there might have been a better way to say it. So fluency is to be able to speak and adjust your speaking and almost improve your speaking as you go. So, for example, if you say something in the way that you really didn't intend to say it, and then you think of something better, well, the simple thing to do is to just repeat yourself and say it in that different, better, improved way. And the other thing, of course, you're going to be assessed on your accuracy, which is grammar, and your lexical resource, which is vocabulary. And also just the way that you present yourself as you communicate. Because speaking is communication, and that's the main reason that when you do the IELTS exam, you are face to face with an examiner, because other English tests don't provide you with that. IELTS is unique in that way, in that you're speaking directly with another person. And that's why I think the IELTS test is so important and such a good means of testing your English ability.
So, how to improve fluency in English?
How to improve fluency? One is to try to be relaxed and natural as you speak. The way I like to think of the speaking section is to realize that you want to speak in the same way as you would speak to your friend on any day of the week. Try to imagine when you go, even though you're sitting in an examining room with an examiner, try to imagine how you would speak if you were speaking to your friend in the cafe or having a coffee.
Is it possible to imagine I'm in front of my friend?
Yeah, I think it is, and I want to. I think it's one thing that's really good to realize is it's very stressful, and you can feel very nervous when you think you're there just to be tested. But I want to just tell you a couple of things about the examiner. The thing that most people don't realize when they go into their IELTS speaking test is that the examiner is also being tested. You'll notice that in a speaking test, the examiner will say, okay, we're going to record this for evaluation purposes. Well, the reason for that recording is not to evaluate you. The examiner is doing that live and on the spot. But that recording is going to go to the supervisor of that examiner to make sure that that examiner did the best they could to make sure that you get the best score you can on the IELTS exam. You see, the thing to realize is the examiner wants you to do well. The examiner wants to do their best to make sure you get the best score you can. That's their reason for being there. So understand that the examiner really does have your best interests at heart. They want you to do well. The examiner will never try to trick you. They will never try to make things especially difficult for you. If you understand that the examiner wants you to do well and get the best score you can, sometimes that helps to take away a little bit of the nervousness.
How to improve fluency in English? How
How
to improve pronunciation English? Good pronunciation.
pronunciation is the best way to improve pronunciation is to speak clearly and to speak at a good pace, not too quickly and not too slowly. One thing, and be careful not to confuse pronunciation with accent. Because no matter where you're from, even native English speakers, and you realize this, I have a Canadian accent. You'll notice that it's different from somebody from Australia or somebody from the UK or somebody from America. So even though you have an accent that clearly identifies that you come from Bangladesh or another country, that is not, you're not going to be assessed on your accent. So even with your accent, just speak at a good pace. And that's also why it's good to be relaxed. If you're too nervous and you don't feel relaxed, you might speak too quickly, or you might speak too slowly. So I'll give you a couple more tips about fluency. Don't be afraid when you're speaking. If you have to hesitate or pause, don't be afraid to do that. That's a perfectly normal part of speaking. Just be careful not to make a noise while you're pausing. You don't want to do that kind of thing. You just want, if you have to pause, don't make a noise and keep speaking.
Is it helpful to listen BBC and CNN news program?
It's very good to listen to different programs from different English-speaking countries because the IELTS exam is an international exam. So you may be hearing things in the listening section, for example. You may be hearing recordings from the UK, Australia, America, Canada, maybe even from South Africa, anywhere that and those are all different accents. So that's why I say when you're speaking, it's not your accent that matters. It's just to speak clearly. And one other key about fluency is if the examiner were to ask you a question and you're not sure, don't hesitate to ask the examiner to repeat it or just say something like, I'm not very clear on what you mean. Could you please explain it to me? And the examiner will be happy to help you get started answering the question.
And how to improve vocabulary?
Well, vocabulary is something you develop over time. There are so you develop vocabulary by reading and listening to podcasts or radio or watching TV or movies. If you want to improve your vocabulary for specific topics that will come up on
International.
IELTS, then I have a couple of
Say
suggestions.
hello. Say hello.
Hi
Say,
again. We met earlier, so it's nice to see you again.
where's Rafida? Okay. Rafi,
Okay,
go. Thank
so
you.
anyways, I'm going to give a couple of good websites that I think are good for practicing and learning vocabulary for IELTS. So first one is National Geographic, because many of the topics in the IELTS exam are about science or technology, um, nature, climate. And if you go to the National Geographic website, you can find articles, you can find videos about topics that are uh, similar to IELTS topics. Another very good one is called TED Ed. I don't know if you've heard of TED Talks.
TED Talks. Yes.
Yeah, well, there's another website which is based on TED Talks, but it's specifically for students. And the good thing about this is you can listen to a talk, then you can read an article about that talk. You can even answer questions about that talk. And the good thing is that's where you can start to think and develop vocabulary, because you can find, again, stick to the topics that are common to IELTS. Yeah.
Okay. And what does it mean? Grammatical range and accuracy. What does it mean?
Grammatical range and accuracy. So this means that you have the ability, first of all, to use different verb tenses. You can speak about the past, the present, and the future. You can speak about things that you always do, or usually do, or never do. You can talk about things that you're doing right now. When you think about the future, you can think about plans that you have for the future. One of the things that's important is to be able to use past tense and present perfect, because often in the speaking section, you'll be asked to talk about your past, maybe when you were a child, or a past event that you might have to explain, a gift you were given, or a party that you went to, or something that you've learned. And then when it comes to more advanced grammar and accuracy, you'll want to really learn you'll want to learn sentence structure. What's the difference between a simple sentence or a compound sentence or a complex sentence? In writing, you'll want to be able to use all three, so you can vary the length and the type of sentences you use when you're writing. And you can also use that when you're speaking. And then maybe another thing that would be important would be using modals like would and could and should and conditional. If I were in a certain situation, I would do this. Or whenever I go to the cafe, I order a cappuccino. These are the types of conditionals and using modals that you'll want to be able to be familiar with. And again, if you're at a B2 or a C1 level, these should be quite normal for you to be able to use.
Thank you. So,
Yeah.
Jeff, Now, I would like to take a test from you. I will be the examiner and you will be the candidate. It's the role play, actually. So,
Okay.
dear viewers, now Mr. Jeff is going to be a candidate, IELTS candidate, and I'm going to be going to be an IELTS examiner. So, are you ready, Jeff?
Well, I'm feeling a bit nervous. No,
No matter. Actually, our students will learn a lot from you.
okay, sure. Let's give it a try.
Our people love to learn from the native speakers, not from Bangladeshi people. Okay, it is not our asset, it is your asset.
Well, uh, don't. Before we start, let me just say this. I've met a lot of good non-native English speakers and teachers. The school that I worked in Montreal, 75% of the English teachers were non-native speakers, and so don't assume that just because I'm a native speaker, I'm better, but I'll give it a good try anyways.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So, can I be the examiner right now?
Sure.
And you're the candidate.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I said, I'm a little nervous, so
And nervousness is the part of, I mean, IELTS test.
yeah, it's
Okay. Okay.
it's definitely a part for
Okay,
sure.
I'm going to, and dear viewers, Mr. Jeff, he will give you the bad answer and the good answer. So we'll follow the good answer to get a good score in IELTS test.
Do
Okay.
you want the good answer first or the bad answer
Now,
first?
first bad answer and then good answer.
Okay, I'll do the bad answer first.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
What's your full name?
My full name is Jeff Johnson.
What should I call you?
You can call me Jeff.
How do you spell your name?
Jeff.
Okay. Is there any meaning of this name?
I have no idea. My mother just decided to call me Jeff.
So who kept your name?
Who gave me the name?
Yes.
Can you repeat that, please? I'm not sure.
Who gave you the name? Your father or mom or
Oh,
grandpa?
I think my mother and father decided together.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you love your name?
it's okay. I don't mind it. I haven't had. It's easy to remember, so maybe that's a good thing.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you some question regarding languages. How many, at first bad answer and
Okay,
then good answer. Okay. How many languages can you speak, Jeff?
two.
And good answer?
I can speak two languages. I speak English and French. I had to learn French when I was living in Montreal because in Canada there are two official languages, French and English, and Montreal is in the province of Quebec, where French is the main language, and it was important for me if I wanted to find a job to learn French.
Thank you. The answer is excellent. Okay. Second question. How useful will English be to you in your future?
It should be pretty useful.
Bad answer. Now good answer. How useful will English be in your future?
Well, English is absolutely necessary for my future because I plan to go to university in Canada. And in order to study in English, I'll have to really make sure that my English is at a good level. And once I finish university, I'll be looking for a job in Canada. And it's so important to have a good grasp of the English language ability when I'm looking for the kind of work I'd like to get into.
Thank you. Excellent answer. Third question. What do you remember about learning languages at school? Bad answer.
It was difficult.
Oh my God, very bad answer. Now, good answer. What do you remember about learning languages at school?
Well, when I first started to learn French, I was very excited. And at first, I had a lot of motivation and I was really encouraged by the things I was learning so quickly. But after a while, I found it becoming more and more challenging. And I found that I had to work a little harder and put a little extra time in each day to keep improving.
Very good answer. The last one about languages. What do you think would be the hardest language for you to learn? At first, bad answer.
Chinese.
And now the good answer
I'm just saying one word. Never say a one word answer in or
in the test.
yeah, in a test. Never give a one word answer. Always add more information than you're asked. I think the language that would be most difficult for me to learn would be a language like Chinese or Japanese or even Arabic. And the reason I say that is because if I were to learn Spanish or Italian or uh, French, it has the same alphabet. So I kind of have a good idea how things are going to sound, even though they're spelled differently. But when I start thinking about learning Chinese or Arabic, or it just seems like it's a whole new system to learn, even going from left to right instead of right to left, and or going up and down instead of left to right. I just can't imagine how difficult it would be to learn those characters.
Thank you. Dear viewers, I know many languages. As a Bangladeshi, I know Bengali language and I have learned English for my career. And I can read, write, and speak in Arabic language because I'm a Muslim. And I learned a little bit French language in my university. I took only 1 year course from Alliance Française, and I know a little bit Hindi from movie. So I know 5 languages.
Wow. I'm still struggling to learn French. I speak French maybe at a functional level. I don't think I'm quite ready. If I had to use it for professional purposes, I don't think I'd be quite ready, but I still work at it and I still listen to TV and read in French as often as possible.
Okay, my viewers will be very happy to know about your parents' country. They are from Canada or from other country, father and mom.
Well, my my mother and father were both born in Canada, and but my grandparents came from other countries. My grandmother was an immigrant to Canada from Ireland, and my grandfather came from the Bahamas. And even though my parents are Canadian, I was not born in Canada. I was born in Bermuda because my parents were sent there to work for a few years. And while they were there, I was born in Bermuda. So I'm Canadian, but I was born in another country. Yeah.
Okay, do you love to travel?
I would love, I don't travel a lot. I can't say that I love to travel. I would like to in the future. I mostly like to travel around Canada. I've been pretty well everywhere from one end of Canada to the other, and it's a big country. So I've seen a lot, and I've traveled through the United States fairly frequently.
My nephew was in Canada for a few years. He was in University of Manitoba. He finished his masters from there with his scholarship. Then he joined in University of uh, what can I say, Toronto for PhD. And he didn't finish his PhD from University of Toronto. Now he is in USA. He is doing his PhD in at MIT.
Wow. Well, if he was in Manitoba, he was probably in the coldest part of Canada. In the winter,
Yes.
Manitoba is one of the coldest areas of Canada.
And in the meantime, he has got PR from Canada, permanent residency.
Okay, good.
Oh,
That's another reason for taking IELTS. It's not always for academic purposes. The general IELTS test is for when you're looking to get a permanent resident or immigration citizenship status in another country. Often IELTS is used for that as well.
Okay, dear viewers, now we are going to take a test from our guest today. It is IELTS Speaking Part 2. So at first he will give a bad answer, and second time he will give the good answer. So his topic, uh, describe a website that you bought something from. If you have pen and paper, you can make some note. Describe a website that you bought something from. You should say what the website is, what you bought from this website, how satisfied you were with what you bought, and explain what you liked or disliked about using this website.
Wow. Well, before I give my bad answer, I'll tell you ahead of time what's going to be bad about it. I'm not going to plan it. I'm not going to be careful about planning my answer. I'm not going to make notes. I'm just going to look at this cue card because you would have passed me a cue card, and I'm just going to start speaking. Okay, so that's what's going to make it a bad answer. Okay, and then I'll explain how I'll make a good answer. Is that okay? So one time I went on Amazon to buy an electric fan for my apartment, and it took forever to come, so I wasn't very happy with it. Like when I got it, I tried to take it out of the box, and then I had to put it together. And when I put it together, it didn't work correctly. So I tried putting it together again, and so I wasn't very satisfied with what I bought. So I really didn't like it because of having to put it together all the time. And then it didn't work right, and I wanted to send it back, but I didn't like the website, so I just gave up, and that was what happened with that. So Amazon is not a website that I like to use very much.
Hmm. That was not bad actually. It was a good
Okay,
answer also.
there were a few things bad about it, and I one thing is I said put it together. I must have said that the same thing about 7 or 8 times. So that's one thing. You don't want to be repetitive. You want to have an outline, a well planned, so that you can go through your talk and not repeat yourself so much, adding new information, making sure you answer the questions you're supposed to answer, and put it to that. This is a very important key for the 2-minute talk section. We already talked about accuracy and grammar and lexical resource and vocabulary and fluency. All those things are being tested in every section of the speaking test. But the thing that makes the 2-minute talk different is that you have time to plan it. And because you have time to plan it, you want to make a good outline and then stick to that outline while you're speaking. And the cue card will give you part of your outline already. It'll ask you what website or what I bought. But I would suggest adding extra information and improving your outline. Think of the 6 question words: who, what, where, when, why, and how. So I would try to think of a comment that I could make that not only answers the questions I've been asked, but adds details according to those 6 question words. So if you give me a minute, I will plan out a better response and see if I can talk for 2 minutes about.
Again, should I repeat the question?
Pardon me?
Should I say the question again?
Sure.
Okay. Dear viewers, now he will try to give a very good answer to get a good score in IELTS speaking test. The IELTS cue card topic is describe a website that you bought something from. You should say what the website is, what you bought from this website, how satisfied you were with what you bought, and explain what you liked or disliked about using this website.
Okay, I'm just planning my outline. Make sure you take the full minute to
Yes, full
prepare
minute. Yes.
prepare your outline.
Okay, your time is over.
Okay. Okay, here I go. So, a few months ago, I discovered that with summer coming, my apartment was very hot during the day, and so I decided that I needed to buy a house fan so that I could have a cool breeze in my apartment during the day. So I was speaking to my friend Eric, and I asked him where he bought his house fan because he was very happy with his. And he recommended that I buy a certain fan that I could find on Amazon, and it would be a good price. So I went to the Amazon website and I found the fan that I was looking for. I read all about it and saw all the things that came with this fan. And because my friend Eric recommended it and he was satisfied, I was sure I would be satisfied too. So I bought the fan. And within a few short days, the fan arrived. And as I took it out of the box, I found it very easy to assemble and easy to get started. So I was really happy that it had arrived so soon and that I was able to cool down my house. And if I were going to purchase other things, I would go to that Amazon website again because it was very useful and provides the right information and good prices on anything you want to buy. So overall, I'm very satisfied with that purchase.
Thank you, Jeff. It was an excellent answer. I think our viewers, it will be recorded on their Facebook and YouTube. So I think they will give share. So I can see many viewers have joined here. Bhomik said, "How are you, Jeff?" And Liakat Singlish said, "Great." Tasneem Fedoi said, "How are you, Jeff?" And she's commented like practice, practice, and practice. And Sirajus Salik in Lupon, he is a college teacher. Phenomenal session. Okay. And Minarbek said, "Hi, sir. How are you, Jeff?" And Nazrul Islam said, "Feel so good, Jeff, sir." So you have
Well,
many fans in Bangladesh and
well,
followers.
greetings to you too. I enjoy hearing your comments, and maybe one day, if I do make it to Bangladesh, we'll meet up sometime. Yeah.
Okay. And Nazrul Islam said, "How are you, Jeff, sir?" So nobody is telling about Liakat, sir. Everybody is telling about Jeff, sir.
Well, that's because I'm new and they're just meeting me. So
You are looking so handsome. That's why I think my viewers love you very much.
thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah.
So, dear viewers, now we are going to start about IELTS speaking test part 3. And another person said about you, Anando Rabi Dash, sir, how are you? I want to do live session. Please help me, sir. Okay. So you can put your number here, and another day I will invite you to join live with me, like Jeff. And Jeff is very kind enough. I requested him to join my live, and he didn't. He agreed at the first, I mean, discussion. So actually, the native speakers, they are so cool, so friendly, and so cooperative. So if you invite him, maybe he will help you, everybody. And he has a YouTube channel, and he has a Facebook page. So you can invite them in your YouTube channel. Jeff, 1 minute for you.
I would really encourage you, if you have a chance to join me on my Facebook page. You can, the name of my Facebook page is right there on the screen, ESL Jeff. And in this, on that Facebook page, I offer tips, and I put weekly videos about IELTS tips. And you can also go to my YouTube channel, which is called IELTS Success Summit, and you can find lots of tips and videos about different sections of the IELTS exam, and even different question types that you may have to deal with on the exam. So I would encourage you, and if you do go to my YouTube channel and you have a question, or you have a video that you would like me to make about a certain part of the IELTS exam, I would be happy to do that, because I'm always looking for ideas on what to share on that channel. And if you make a request, there's a good chance that I'll make a video just for you.
I saw your videos on your YouTube channel. You make them only in single hand, or do you have any assistant for making videos and uploading
Oh,
on your YouTube channel?
I do them myself. I make them on my phone. As simple as that. I make a little script for what I'm teaching. They're very simple. I make them on my phone, and then I just upload them to.
And no editing?
The only thing I edit is I clip the beginning and clip the end, so that you don't see me pushing the button to start my start my video. That's the only thing that I do. But it's all done on my. And here's a tip. If you have your phone and you want to practice your speaking, but you have nobody to speak with, practice your speaking and record yourself in a video. Then go back and look at it, and you can assess your own ability by watching a video of yourself speaking. So your phone can be a good tool in making videos can be a good tool in improving your speaking.
Thank you. So another student wrote here, you come in Bangladesh. They invited you to come Bangladesh.
Okay, I'll be happy to come. Where
Okay,
in
dear
Bangladesh do you live?
Dhaka.
That invitation was for Dhaka. Okay, that sounds great.
Okay, so dear viewers, one day I will invite, hopefully, Mr. Jeff to Bangladesh, and he will be our guest. So I will invite all of you to meet with him.
That sounds great. I hope it happens someday.
Thank you. So now we can start IELTS speaking part 3.
Okay, this is probably the part where candidates get more nervous, because now you have to give your opinion on something.
Okay, so dear viewers, our time is very short. We have only 17 minutes left. So Mr. Jeff will give the good answers only right now, only good answers. Okay.
Try.
What kinds of things do people in your country often buy from online shops?
Well, usually they will buy things that they want to save money on. Like, for example, when I spoke about the fan, or if they may want parts for their car. They might want household items. Some people will buy clothes, although some people prefer not to buy clothes because they like to try them on and make sure they fit. But during the pandemic that we've had for the last couple of years, almost everything is purchased online now because of the pandemic. So people even buy groceries and medication, things from the pharmacy. Uh, Pretty well everything is purchased online now in Canada.
Thank you. Why do you think online shopping has become so popular nowadays?
I think the most important thing about online shopping is the convenience. It's you don't have to even leave your house to get your groceries anymore. You don't have to go shopping in a crowded mall. You don't have to drive your car to the supermarket. The convenience is the most important thing. And I think it's also price. I think that online, most things can be purchased for a better price than they can by taking the time and the energy and maybe even the gas in your car to go out shopping and going to different places to try to find what you need.
Thank you. What are some possible disadvantages of buying things from online shops?
Well, one of the disadvantages is you can't really see what you want to purchase before you purchase it. You can't hold something in your hands and see how it feels, even, or what it looks like. You can't, for example, I mentioned earlier about you can't try on clothes on the internet. And especially for some of most of the women I speak to say they would never buy a pair of shoes on the internet because they have to know how they feel when they try them on. And I think a lot of people, one of the other issues that comes up is people don't always trust something that they just see on the internet. They want to be able to be sure that they're getting what they want. And so for this reason, that's a real disadvantage of the internet, is to not really be sure what you're getting.
Thank you. The culture of consumerism. Why do many people today keep buying things which they do not need?
I think one of the things that's happening with the increase in internet, even with social media, people are spending more and more time online, and they're going to see a lot more ads for things. And if you are at all, if you're the slightest bit impulsive, it's very easy to get into the trap of buying things that you don't need. And I think that's one of the dangers of spending a lot of time online and being distracted by many things that you might not really need, but all of a sudden you're convinced that you want.
Thank you. Do you believe the benefits of a consumer society outweigh the disadvantages?
That's a difficult question, and I haven't really given it a lot of thought. I think if either one is taken to the extreme, it could be a danger. So I think extreme consumerism, like what you just mentioned, buying too many things, buying things you don't need, and getting into financial difficulty, then consumerism is a problem. On the other hand, if you just refuse to buy things because you don't want to spend money and you don't provide the things you need for yourself or for your children, then a lack of consumerism could be a problem, because one of the things consumerism does is put the products in front of you that could really be helpful and really could benefit your life. And if we didn't have consumerism, we might not be aware of those things. So I think it's important to keep it in balance, not to go to one extreme or the other.
Thank you. How possible is it to avoid the culture of consumerism?
I think it's almost impossible to avoid now. It's just the way that our especially in Canada where I live, it's almost impossible to avoid. You see ads everywhere. You see that the cost of living is going up, and people are always wanting to buy the next new product or improve on something that maybe doesn't even need improving. And 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 one thing that consumer uh, society leads to is that things become very consumable. We tend to throw things away that don't need to be thrown away. We consume them and then get rid of them and then have the need to buy more things. And I think that's uh, the real problem with, and
Thank
it's
you, Mr. Jeff.
something that you can't avoid. Yeah.
One of our viewers, his name is Ananda Robidas. He is telling, "Where are you from, Jeff?"
I'm from, I live in Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada. So I actually live just a couple of kilometers away from the Parliament buildings where the Prime Minister is right now trying to run this country.
Okay, so what's your future plan about language, Jeff?
My future plans are I'm going to be developing uh, more ways to help people with the IELTS exam. I'm also developing uh, online classes for English language learners from beginner, right from beginner and up. And I recently hired another teacher to help me with this. So um, right now, I'm hoping to expand on the classes that I have for ESL students. And I'm always going to, I don't plan to go back to bricks and mortar school. I plan to stay teaching online. This is where I found that I'd like to work. So this is
Okay,
my,
from my curiosity, I'm telling you, who cooks food for you?
I cook my own food. I'm single. I live on my own. I have family here in Ottawa. My children live in Ottawa. My father is still living and he's here in Ottawa. So that's the reason I moved here. But I have my own place and I cook for myself and I look after myself pretty good, I think.
Thank you. So the last minute for you to say anything you can say to our viewers.
I guess when it comes to your learning, whether it's learning English, preparing for IELTS, planning to go to university, make sure that you enjoy every step of the way. Keep keep your life in balance. If you study for hours and hours every day, make sure you take at least one day off during the week or a few hours just to relax, to do something fun. If you're preparing for IELTS, the IELTS exam, make sure you give yourself plenty of time to prepare. Plan ahead of time so that you don't have to feel stress or anxiety. Don't leave your preparation for the last minute. Just try to keep everything in balance. Remember that every journey starts with one step, and then you just have to take one step at a time, always working towards your goals. I'll tell you a little story. I have a bachelor's degree and I have a master's degree. But when I started my master's degree, my family was very young. I was working full time, and I could not do my master's degree full time. But I was determined that one day I would have that master's degree. So I just started one course at a time, and I gradually achieved my master's degree. It took me 10 years, but I never gave up. I just took one step at a time. And I want to encourage you, no matter how far away your goals may seem, or how far away your dreams or impossible they may seem, if you take one step at a time, keep moving towards your goal, you will finally arrive there. and it'll be one of the best days of your life when you arrive to where you want to be. So don't give up, no matter how difficult it seems. Just keep going ahead. Language learning isn't always easy. Planning for the IELTS test may not seem easy, but rise to the challenge. Just keep moving ahead one day at a time, and you'll make it. One day you may find yourself studying in Canada or working here. And whatever your plan is, I just wish you all the best.
Thank you, Mr. Jeff. Wait for me a few moments. I will end the live. I have to share with you something. So
Okay.
say goodbye to my viewers.
All the best. It's been a pleasure to spend this time with you. I hope that we get to do it again. And all the best as you prepare for the IELTS exam.
Thank you. Dear viewers, if you like this session, you can comment here more, and even you can share the live in your page, in your ID. Understand? So, good night. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye, everybody.